depths of the deepest part of the ocean, to the driest places on Earth, and to the jungles of South America, to your own backyard. It's how the world relates to you and how you relate to the world. It's your place in the universe. I'm Danny Hajek. Obesity is one of the leading preventable causes of death worldwide, increasing the chances of serious medical problems such as diabetes, hypertension, heart disease, stroke, even cancer. Yet the purpose of fat and some of the specific reasons for obesity are lost within the harsh judgments of society and lack of understanding through the media and what they define as being attractive. Well, first, what is fat and why do we need it? Why is it so essential yet at times detrimental? And why does it feel like sometimes our bodies work against us? Well, I had a conversation with Professor Tak Chung to get some answers, and we began by looking at the biological world and analyzing one particular animal that, in order to survive, is obese. In the remote, cold waters in the Arctic North Polar region, during the summer months, enduring the turbulent seas and mysterious waters, resides little shrimp-like marine animals known as krill. Billions of these tiny creatures have gathered and are reproducing, floating around in the ocean and feeding off the plentiful algae. With numbers so numerous, they change the pigment of the water to an orange-brown, and these swarms of krill can be seen from an airplane. The krill may not be fully aware of it yet, but their predators have taken notice. Only a few miles away, an incredibly massive creature glides through the ocean towards the krill. It weighs in at some 200 tons, equivalent to the weight of 100 small cars, and is longer than the length of 3 school buses put together, over 100 feet. It is the largest creature to ever live on planet Earth. It is the blue whale.
Among all the whales, of course, the most interesting whale and the most mysterious of all the whales are the blue whales. They by far the largest animals that have ever lived. They're even larger than the biggest dinosaurs by a significant amount. Their tongue are so large that it weighs as much as an elephant. Their tail, the width of the tail, is the wing of a small aircraft. And of course, their heart is about the size of a minivan. And their blood vessels are wide enough for a person to swim through.
Ironically, the largest creature on Earth feeds on the krill, one of the smallest creatures in the ocean. So to get their fill, the blue whales will eat a lot.
Now, each day, a blue whale can consume up to 4 tons of krill. There will be about 40 million krill. We, as an individual human being, most of us consume about 2,000 to 2,500 calories per day. A single blue whale will consume 1.5 million calories each day.
This is binge eating to the extreme. And of course, these blue whales are equipped with a special feature which allows for mass consumption. They have evolved a special jaw to feed on the krill. They lack teeth, but they have a set of plates that work like a filter, called a baleen. So when the whales come to a huge group of krill, they simply open up their mouth, taking up to 100 tons of water.
And then they will strain out the water and basically filter it, and the balance will retain the krill, and then they will swallow it.
It's an extremely efficient feeding system. Now, you would think that after a day of consuming 4 tons of these small crustaceans, that the whale would be full or become tired of the taste of krill. But this isn't the case. In fact, the blue whales will continue to indulge themselves with these shrimp-like marine invertebrates until the summer feeding period is over.
During the summer months, over a period probably about maybe a couple months or less, the blue whale literally feed non-stop, day and night, depending on exactly where the krill is going to be.
They dive down hundreds of feet during the day to eat and surface feed at night. And during this time, all of the excess calories are converted into blubber stored beneath their skin. And by the time their feeding period is over, the blue whales can have a body fat percentage of over 50%.
The whale, you can say they are obese by the time when they are done with their summer feeding.
Now, we know that obesity causes serious health concerns. So the question is, why would these blue whales continually stuff themselves with all of this krill, up to 4 tons a day during their feeding season? This sounds unhealthy, but it all has to do with their lifestyle. The winter season draws these whales out of the frigid Arctic waters. So with their stomachs fed and massive bodies packed with an ample supply of blubber, they're ready for the great migration. And moving at a comfortable pace of 12 miles per hour, these massive creatures begin their 10,000-mile journey southward to warmer waters.
When they reach their, so to speak, their winter ground, they will caught between the male and female blue whales, and some of them will mate, and they will give birth to their young.
Female blue whales will usually give birth once every 2 to 3 years, and their calves are not small, some weighing up to 3 tons at birth, the size of a fully grown hippopotamus.
And the calf will feed for 7 months, drinking mother's milk, and the calf will drink 100 gallons of her milk each day, and it can grow up to as much as 200 pounds every day.
That is a lot of energy that the mother uses up in order to nurture her young. Now here's the surprising part, and the true reason why whales binge eat in the Arctic.
During this time, they don't eat at all. As much as 4 to 8 months period, they will live in this beautiful, warm, and calm sea. There's nothing for them to eat because the only way they can eat is through their balance plate. So there's no krill there for them to eat. So in other words, the blue whale will fast for this entire period.
And to think that we get hungry after 6 hours. Imagine being a whale and not eating for 6 months.
And they will live completely on the fat that they build up during their summer season in the Arctic Ocean.
And that is why in the Arctic, they eat so much, so often. So what do these blue whales say about us?
In the human population, this phenomenon can also play an important role. It has been well known that among the human populations, certain geographical and ethnic groups have much greater tendency for overconsumption of food that will lead to obesity. And this including groups from such as the South Pacific Islanders, the Sub-Saharan Africans, Native American in the southwestern United States, and to the Inuit.
And why is this? It's likely that the individuals from these parts of the world endured seasonal variations of food. So it would make sense biologically for these individuals to have adapted to these environments through a system of storing fat and conserving energy. So during times when food was available, these people would likely eat as much as possible, and their bodies would store that fat in preparation for periods when food would be scarce, just like the blue whale. Now, this is actually a theory known as the thrifty gene hypothesis.
This thrifty gene hypothesis suggests that this is a evolutionary evolved physiological adaptation to be able to consume large amount of food when they're available and store them away.
So people that lived in these harsh regions and had acquired this adaptation had an advantage. But now in a Western culture, it's working against us.
When food become available around the year, when food no longer becomes seasonal, the tendency to eat or consume as much food as possible when they're available to you will still maintain.
In other words, if your ancestors pass this gene on to you, then despite the fact that there's food all around you, you will still continue to eat and store fat regardless of the fact that food won't be scarce and there likely won't be a famine. That was the purpose of it before, but times have changed, and this can lead to obesity. So through the story of the blue whale, it becomes evident that the build of our bodies has to do with the environment we are in, or that we were once in, and that gives us some answers on the causes of obesity.
So at the end, I think the blue whales has a very important lesson to teach us. It demonstrates to us that fat is a biological adaptation. It's a strategy that evolved to allow animals to eat when foods are available. and able to store them away when they're not available and use it for reproductive, for courtship, for mating, and for other purposes in order to perpetuate the species.
Understanding the story of the blue whale, looking at how it binge eats during the summer months in the Arctic on tiny krill, and then fasts from 6 to 8 months in the warmer southern equatorial waters, helps us to understand and realize that our behaviors as humans are closely related to the behaviors of the whales. It helps us to understand why we are the way we are. And through that understanding emerges acceptance. But most importantly, it makes us realize that no matter how advanced we are, we're still interconnected in many ways to this biological world.